Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is One Day Today. We are on episode 87. Thank you all for joining us. This is we're almost at a year since we began doing this virtual stage, and it has been an amazing experience. It's I every day we have a virtual stage. I am humbled, and I am just so brought back to just amazement of the beauty of humanity. No matter what no matter what creed or color, what experiences humans have gone through in their lives, it's on the other side of the trials and tribulations and traumas that the beauty in humanity shines. And today is no exception. I'm just so excited and honored to have both of our guests here today and for them to share their story. And it's just such a privilege to be able to hold this space, because it's in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of just the state of the world, to be able to be part of a conversation that is focused on the beauty, that is focused on the power amidst there being chaos, amidst there being pain and suffering in the world. And it is stories like our guests today that really allow us to have courage to overcome our circumstances. And when we can actually and share the gifts that we've overcome in our trials and our tribulations, it keeps this lifting humanity up. And then that's what we're doing here, is we're lifting the conversation. We're opening a new paradigm, a conversation of love, and a love-based world and society where we can accept and celebrate our humanity, as well as the possibility and our divinity. We all have something in us, in our experience of the world, that gives others courage, that gives others power to see past their trauma, see past their pain. And I'm really excited about both of our guests today, because I had conversations with both of them, and I'm excited for them to share their stories with you. But first, let me welcome our co-host Matthew in the lovely state of Hawaii, who I'm not jealous at all about.
Not even a little bit.
Not a little bit, no.
Tiny bit.
Okay, a lot of it.
Keep telling you, come on out, man. There's space. There's always space. Yeah, thank you. It's always a treat to be here. And I feel like we're kind of finding our brand, maybe, kind of, a little bit. That whole, I don't know that this is going to go away anytime soon. On the other side of trauma lies wisdom. That phrase that keeps coming up over and over and over again on the show. And it's coming up more and more in like my daily life as well. Like I am meeting more people every day that are really ready to step into their own authenticity and their own power and their own strength. And I feel like we've crested the hill at this point. Like we've, at least in my personal life, like I feel like I've reached this point where it's not necessary to struggle anymore. It's time to start learning the fun lessons. And things are really coming together. Like we are, like myself and my housemates are connecting with a nonprofit here on the island who wants to actually start restoring native habitat and creating food gardens, food forests for the local communities to create a more self-sustaining island, to get Hawaii back to this place of abundance that it has always been. It's just been kind of hidden for a while. So yeah, it's a treat, and I'm very much looking forward to hear what happens today, because I have a feeling that it's going to be on that theme. Just talking with Carol about Philly. So let's see what happens.
Yes, I'm very excited too, and like what you're saying about come back to abundance, like back to that, and it's like it's I'm seeing that's a universal theme. It's like it's always there, abundance, but do we see it? And it's like, and I'm excited to hear the stories shared today, because it's abundant. No matter what we're going through, it's always available to tap into something deeper, that we can actually share our love and our gifts with the world, where we can who can we make an impact with? Who can we lift up? Who can I lift up today? Who can I bring joy to today? Who can I bring smiles and laughter and joy? For them to overcome their suffering, and it's just a privilege to be holding this space. So now I'm going to welcome our first guest. I'm very excited to introduce Nada Rothbart. Welcome, Nada. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm already almost crying how excited and humbled I feel for being invited to be your guest and share my story.
It's such an honor to have you, Nada. Thank you for being here. And I'm just going to let you, if you're ready, let's begin. Nada, the stage is yours.
Of course, I'm ready. Every time I meet someone new, I feel I have to explain my meaning of my first name. Nada, for locals here, I'm in California, Sonoma, means nothing in Spanish, right? And I meet people on daily basis, and as soon as I introduce myself, they say, do you know what your first name means? I said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And they ask me, where are you from? So here it is. I am from former Yugoslavia. I was born 64 years ago in the northern part of Yugoslavia, 5 miles from Hungarian border. At the end after the Second World War, the names in fashion were hope and faith. My name Nada means hope, and my sister, 8 years older than me, is named Vera, which in Serbian means faith. So what else do you want? Hope, faith, and love of your parents, right? So when I was 13 years old, I was this tall. You can't see it, but trust my word. I was 6'3" tall, thin like a strand of spaghetti. And I started playing basketball in a local team. Within a year, I was in the national team of Yugoslavia, and I practiced and played for a national team for quite some time and learned a lot of wonderful lessons from my first national team coach. He would tell me, Nada, you are thin and you're fast. Use your speed, outside shot, and always play your game. So some of you listening and watching were involved in sports. Some of your kids were involved in sports. And I'm sure you understand that expression, play your game. I played my game in basketball. And when I was 26, I graduated from law school. I moved from Serbia to Sarajevo. I was recruited by 5 different teams all over former Yugoslavia. And guess what? I chose Sarajevo. 10 years later, I was married with 2 boys, 4 and 5 years old. Their names were Ivan and Boris. For the older folks, I named them after Ivan Lendl and Boris Becker, tennis champions at that time. So I got my 2 champions of my own. We played basketball, tennis, and when they were 4 and 5, civil war started in front of my balcony, in front of our building where we lived. Of course, it was as shocking as if it would happen in front of your balcony here in America. And what happened is that the day of the war started in my town, I opened my law office and I wanted to start my own practice. I worked for other companies for 10 years and that was my dream. And I opened my law office, and the day prior to war started, I ran home all excited, and they started first shooting or during the night only. My father called from Serbia and he said, look, what are you doing there? They started heavily bombing us. I couldn't leave my house anymore. my husband at the time left because he would be captured for or killed or captured to be part of the efforts in the war. And that was just horrendous. Once in a while, we would get telephone connections and water and electricity. Most of the time, there was none. Refrigerator was empty from the beginning of the war. We were exchanging some bits and pieces of food with people from the higher from the building where we lived. And one day, it was a quiet day. Bam, bam, bam on the front door. I opened the door. 17 fully armed soldiers in front of me. What's your name? Where's your husband? What's your husband's name? So they were Serbian soldiers looking for Muslims or Croats to harm them, or looking for Serbian men to take them to the army. And what I did is I opened the door wide open, not showing any fear. And I heard my coach's voice, play your game. I was myself, as kind as possible. How can I help you? I said, my name is Nada. My husband left early as soon as war started. I don't know. My kids were playing on the carpet in the living room. I said, there's nothing here for you, really. Just me and my boys. And they closed the door and they said, they left. They said, okay, ma'am, take care. And later on, I heard that our apartment was the only one that they didn't harm, didn't break in, steal, rape, kill, beat somebody up. Days went by. My father would call me from Serbia. The entire family died in Auschwitz. He was the only one, and his brother that survived. That story some other time. Now his child and his grandkids are in great danger. Why don't you come home? I said, I can't anymore, but they will stop soon. Everything will be fine. It's just maybe 20 days. And I want to go back, Dad, to my office, and I want to go back to normal living. And that reaction reminded me of people saying the same thing when COVID started. I just want to go back to normal. My dad said, look, 6 million Jews died in Second World War, in Holocaust, because they didn't have any precedent, any example in the past in their life to learn from. Now you do. Your job is now to save your life of your children. And your job is to take them and leave. And that's it. If they stop bombing, you will come back, you will work in your office, or you will choose to do something else. But right now, your life and life of your children are the most important to save. At that point, there was no way I could leave. It was that dangerous. Several weeks later, a ceasefire was announced. I grabbed my kids and left. Sarajevo was on fire, burning cars, buildings, broken glass, quiet, scary. I was scared from quiet time more than from bombs, because after quiet time, I know what's coming. Around the corner, 5 soldiers took me in the back of their truck and drove me where I wanted to be dropped off on the top of the mountain, usually in peaceful time, 20 minutes driving distance. That time it took us 13 hours. When we got through the middle of the woods, I realized they're not using the main road. They're going through the woods. And when I asked why, they said that from the opposite side of Sarajevo, on the opposite side, Muslims and Croats can shoot us and bomb us. And that's why. Halfway through, they started. They stopped making an eye contact with me, and the big guy next to me started rubbing his leg against mine and disassociating himself from me by leaning forward. For 13 hours, I heard my voice, the voice of my coach, play your game. I thank them for doing the right thing. I thank them for taking us to safety. I was polite and kind and as the best I can do. And they stopped what they were originally wanted to do, dropped me off. The next 24 hours was equally dramatic. I will skip that part because I have only 15 minutes. My husband joined us 100 days after I was in safety. We moved to Israel. I'm Jewish, and Israel accepted Jews and their family members, saving them from war and situations like I was in Sarajevo. I lived in an immigration center in Israel for 2 years. Played professional basketball second year of my stay in Israel at age of 38 to make money and support my family. My husband got the job to come to America. As an engineer, we moved to Sunnyvale, Silicon Valley, American dream. Here we are. Kids were adorable, growing up, playing tennis. And with my law school, I couldn't do anything really, and I barely spoke English, which didn't change much. So 1 year after, my younger son, Ivan, passed away from blood infection at Sanford Hospital. Within 7 days from the first day, he says, "Mom, I don't feel well." My husband left, we got a divorce, and now it's just me with no skills, no English, and my older son. He was 9 when his brother died. For a year, my face was in my pillow, crying. I was barely functioning, just barely. Until one day, my son opened the door from my room, sat next to me, and said, Mom, look at me in my face. Mom, I need your help. I need you to stand up and help me grow up in a strong man I want to become. That energy that I experienced that second was miracle. I stood up. Within minutes, we were riding bicycles in Cupertino. He was away in front of me, stood up on a bike and said, Mom. I said, what? Mom, I love you. And from that day, we were moving through life a little bit more. He was 10 at that time when that happened, when he said, Mom, I need your help. Stand up. I got my real estate license. Door knocking, cold calling, it was brutal. And one day, I just couldn't move from my bed, depression, everything. Again, I went into Bikram yoga. You know that hot yoga that normal people don't do? So I did it. I got my license, opened my studio here in Sonoma, taught for 10 years, supported my own healing and healing of my students, told them stories in between postures. I haven't taught for 2 years. They called me the other day. I'm teaching again Sunday morning, Easter morning, 9 a.m. class. I can't wait to see them all. We healed together. We learned lessons together from that yoga, from whatever we needed to learn lessons from. How I did all this. I know that Creator built in every single one of us everything we need to do whatever it takes to survive, to save our lives of our children. I know that. I'm not special. You have it too. I just hope you didn't have to go through things I had to go through. My personal experience is find a team, find a coach. I'm coached by my business coaching in real estate. I have a license for 21 years. I'm still coached. I love my coach. Find a team. Find a team. You can't do it alone. And I couldn't do it alone. And find a hero. My hero is my coach and my child. My hero is my Boris. And he is now playing the 17th year of his professional basketball in Europe. He's in Israel right now. He's 7'3" tall. He is a strong man. He always wanted to become. He has a wife and 2 children and a third on the way. I am going to be a triple grandma. He is my coach too. He became a professional public speaker in Israel, sharing his story. The other day, I was practicing for my Toastmasters competition, and he was listening to me, and he says, "Mom, story is wonderful. I have one feedback for you." I said, "What happened?" I said, "You're fixing your underwear the other time. That's not cool." So we have a fantastic relationship. We support each other, love each other, have the best daughter-in-law that I could possibly imagine. And how I did it: find your team and trust that everything you got by birth is enough to go through life. Whatever is dealt, whatever is in front of you, you can deal with this. And find a coach, find a team, find a hero, and you are enough. That's my story. Thank you so much for having me.
Nada, thank you so much. Your story, your strength, and your courage, what you face and overcome, is simply inspiring. And I can't even hardly put it to words. Like what you've gone through, and what you're sharing with the strength that you have now. It's breathtaking. It's just amazing that you've gone through. I mean, war. I mean, for us, I'll just speak for myself and my generation. War is usually just something you read in a headline. It's not something you'd ever expect, to see, let alone in your front, off your balcony, the day you start your business. It's so your story of your strength. Even in the midst of it, how you didn't even show them fear when they knocked on your door and you were taken away, and like. It's just so amazing that you kept your strength, and that what your father was telling you, and who lived through World War II, and the horrors that happened, but what you have to share now with your children and your grandchildren it is a gift, and what you're sharing with us now, and it's so amazing that it's like that. It's a lesson that as humanity we forget. And it's like, but through generations, the stories like yours that keep it alive, that we, and I just thank you, first of all, for sharing it. So it's just inspiring your courage. So just thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our honor and our pleasure. And I want to hear, like, so what is it, what is it now that you see, like, with your relationship with your, going through all of that and being here now, and now having a beautiful family and a beautiful life in California. You started teaching, yoga, and you have a studio, and it's like, what is your, what is your experience now? Like, I just imagine you don't take anything for granted, but what is your experience? Like, what do you tell your children, your grandchildren? What is it what do you share with them, with all that you've been through?
That's an excellent question. My father waited until I was 12 or 13 years old to tell me never ever to mix German people with bad German fascist politics during the Second World War. He told me how German people were saving Jews and risking their lives to save they were good people also, in spite of this horrible idea. And he taught me to not hate anyone. That's the biggest gift I've received from my parents. So my grandkids are 12 and 8. And 8 years old grandson is super athletic. For now, I am playing basketball with him and not giving him any slack. Even he's 8 and I'm 6'3" tall. I don't know if I mentioned that. Yes, I did. And not ready for serious stories. My 12 years old granddaughter is as fashionista as I am, so I am buying her dresses and telling her what to wear, and we have that kind of a bond. And as far as my everyday life, I have people coming over one at a time, girlfriends, and share these kind of stories and lighter stories. I don't want to scare them off. And just bonding, deepening relationship with my friends. I really, really cherish deep relationships with people. That's what we used to do in Yugoslavia. And not taking anything for granted, enjoying everything that I have today. I live in Sonoma. I have a feeling if there is a higher power or God, he or she probably thought, okay, enough with your suffering. Go to Sonoma to live 5 blocks from the square and enjoy the beautiful little town. Unfortunately, I don't drink any alcohol, so I can't drink wine, but it's just really lovely. And I'm not overwhelming my grandkids with any stories anymore, but I know I will convey to them not to hate. And that's the biggest gift I received from my father. He would go, I don't know how much time I have, he would go take us all over Europe in camps, not concentration camps, with a tent when you go on vacation. And the first person he would talk with is person that speaks German. And my mom would not be so open-minded. He would say, he would practice German with him and or her. And mom would say, how can you, maybe these people killed your family in Auschwitz. And he had this Jewish humor in him. He says, maybe they did, maybe they don't, but I want to practice my German. That's my chance. Making it to speak, he would just be so laid back. By the way, he survived concentration camp from 16 to 20 years old, but he was saved. So that's what I'm going to share. Love, friendship, connection, fashion, if anybody wants to listen. And all my boyfriends have to go through a makeover if they want to be with me. And that's, and when I was interviewed by a podcast, Lucky Podcast. My interviews are called Choice Part 1, Choice Part 2. And when a lady asked me a similar question at the end, how do you feel now? She was all in tears and everything. I said, I feel lucky. And I feel lucky. And I will tell you today, I feel lucky I'm here and I'm continuing the family. And I have an experience a chance to experience life and to tell my dad's opinion. He would tell my mom, somebody has to break the chain of hatred, and it might as well be me. And what can we do on that level? And it's very current in America, very alive in America. What we can do is do this on our own, in our own family. And in yoga language, we say, stay on your mat. So I'm staying on my mat and teaching my children love. And there will be no hatred in my family, and hopefully they will continue the same way. That's how you break a chain. I talk too much. I apologize, but that's my passion.
This is your space to share. It's so powerful. You know, like you're saying, somebody has to break the chain of hate.
Somebody, and it's, you know, I hear a lot. Oh, I would love to save a Brazilian rainforest. So I can't save the world. I can save my children. If I'm lucky to save them, I can teach my children here, and share what I can with you and my best friends. and that's how you change the world, one step at a time and one person at a time. I can't do anything big. This is the biggest thing I can do.
I think you are doing something great.
Uh, that perspective. Abram, your mic is kind of weird. I'm not sure what's going on, but that
At least
perspective.
it's not mine.
No, it's something on his end, I think. But you're okay.
Got it. It's fixed now.
There you go. Much better. That perspective of breaking the chain. Like, I feel like I see so many people getting caught up in the cycle of vengeance of, well, they did this to me and I'm owed something. But the question I always come back to is, what are you losing by standing up and saying I'm sorry first, no matter what they did to you? What do you lose? And then the flip side of that is, what do you stand to gain if you keep going down this path? Like, we can look throughout human history and we can see the outcome of continuing that cycle of violence over and over and over and over again. And has it ever gained anyone anything in the long run? So I really appreciate you and your dad and your entire generation who had to live through that so that we as a species can finally start, maybe stand up and go, okay, enough is enough. I do feel like that as long as humanity wants to learn from violence, there's going to be violence. And that's their choice. The other thing that really comes from your story, the one thing that was standing out the most was, how unaware most people are of the impact of their actions on others. When they started that civil war, it was for their ideas and their reasons, and there was no awareness of the impact and the suffering that they were perpetuating on the wider population at all. It was just a small group of people who were so caught up in an idea that it came to blows. And I just thank you for coming out here and just sharing your story. Because without people like you standing up and saying, this is what it was really like, I don't know that humanity is ever going to change.
I don't know how many people are going to watch this and listen. When things started feeling a little weird politically last year, it's not important how I felt. I felt it's coming here again. I just really want to warn, if my words mean anything. Hatred can lead us all into this and into destroying everything that we know. You can't hate and kill somebody and your roof still stays intact. Everything goes down, and you and your family, whoever is doing this, and lives, and it's really scary. I think it's time to cherish what we have and differences that we have and learn from each other and eat each other's special recipes and learn special recipes from each other and desserts and enjoy each other's culture rather than saying, look, he or she is different, let's just destroy the whole nation. When that happens, everybody is destroyed. And it can happen in America. That's what I think. It was a few times I thought, wow, where am I going to go? And if this happens here. But it's not about me. I was just being nervous. I was going to say about I want to go back to normal. I remember saying this to my dad, I want to go back to normal. And I wrote a little Toastmaster story about that, about how I wanted that office and work there and have a career. And this COVID gave us all of course, perspective of if we paid attention, gave us all time and space to think about what's important to us, our lives, our health. What I do on a daily basis, regardless of what's happening with my schedule, I go for a 5.5-mile hike above my house. And that's what I did this morning, thinking about what am I going to say today. And number one has to be health and friendship and deepening relationships and all this goodness that we forgot. I think COVID, besides we lost millions of people, that's very sad, but gave us a lot of opportunities to restart our lives. But that's being said from other people, said I want to take the time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Nada. Thank you again for your courage and your strength, and your courage is inspiring. And it's, you sharing is what gives, every generation, a fighting chance in the future for, it's like, what you're just to, we're going to come back with Nada in a moment here, but just to close what you're just saying is like, you're saying, somebody has to break the chain of hate, and it's like, if not me, then who? If not here, then where? And if not now, then when? And it's like, this is the time. Right now is the time. And your story and you sharing it is the reminder of that, we can't forget these lessons. This is something that, my father is Jewish as well. And I mean, I've learned from my culture and from my father and my family, similar things. And it's like, it's, and I think it's like our strength comes from when we overcome the hard times. Is like, that's when we can appreciate the good, like really appreciate the beauty, even when it's hard to see. We can seek it and we can create it, and we can generate and we can collaborate. And I just think this is the ever slowly turning clock of progress in humanity. Is like, it's because of people like you sharing your strength that allows us collectively to do it. So just thank you so much. I really just honor and just so appreciative of you, Nana. Thank you again for sharing with us.
Thank you. And the people like you allowing the space for this. This is so inspirational that younger generations feel that this is necessary. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Nada. So we are going to check back with Nada in a moment here. But first, let me invite you. I want to share with you, what's your gift? We want to invite you to share your story. This is the space for you to share what you've experienced in your life, what you've overcome, what fears, what trials, what tribulations have been in your life that has allowed you to discover you have a gift. No matter where you are, who you pray or don't pray to, what color or creed you have gifts that contribute to us all. And that's why we hold this space, is for you to share your experiences that allow us all to grow, allow us all to create a world, where we intentionally make peace louder than fear and hate. That's what's possible when we're standing there, when we as humans experience, recognize, and focus on the humanity in ourselves and each other. Like, what can we create together? Like Nada was saying, what recipes could we create? What new spiritual collaborations? What new scientific discoveries? What new art could we create? And we get to choose right now. This isn't something that happens in the future. This happens what we choose right now. And that's why one day is today. And that's exactly the space we hold. And that's what we hold this space sacred. So that's actually what our mission here is, bringing you and me and communities together in joyous celebration, unifying humanity in our diversity to create a better world for us all. So now it's my pleasure to welcome our second guest. We have with us Carol Feeley. Welcome, Carol.
Well, hello.
Hi, thank you for being here. So glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here too.
Well, I'm excited to hear your story. We had a brief conversation this week, and I'm thrilled to have you. So without further ado, Carol, the stage is yours.
Why, thank you. Do you want more power in your life? That is a question I asked myself 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I decided to put some people around me to really help me gain that power. Now, what kind of power was I looking for? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and self-control. Mostly all of us are looking for that in this world. Hello, my name is Carol Feeley. I am an empowerment coach. I help people to get their mental performance strong and mighty so they can have more, be more, and do more. Now, how did I wake up one day to be an empowerment coach? I am going to share my story. But one thing I do every day, I wake up and say, who can I impact today? But I sure didn't say that throughout my life. And I'm going to start and take it back to my second grade classroom. Mr. Ruckle, he was a mean teacher. He had a ruler that was huge. And one day he banged that ruler on that desk and said, Carol, listen. So here's what happened. They found out that I had trouble focusing. So how did the school decide to solve my problem? They put me in a small room with other kids that weren't doing well and separated me from my friends. It devastated me. It made me feel like I wasn't worthy. It made me feel like I didn't measure up. And it made me feel like I was different. See, those stigmas went through me through my all school. I never got over it. I took all those lies of who I was and I internalized it and I believed them as truths. And it was devastating. And I just couldn't focus. So here's what happened. What does a girl do when she becomes an adult to take care of all those emotions that I didn't express as a child? I found my liquid powder. My liquid powder. My liquid power. Do you know what liquid power I'm talking about? Alcohol. That's right. I went down a downward spiral with alcohol because I didn't feel worthy. All those things. And it was really hard. And then my husband and I got married. We've been married for 46 years, a long time with him, but he was as messed up as me. And then we had two beautiful girls. And oh my gosh, they're amazing. They are so amazing. But over time and over period, people kept coming into me and, you know, helping me along the way. But there was this one girl, her name was Gloria. See, I was a waitress at Country Touch Cafe. She came to me and she says, Carol, I want you to come to church on Friends Day. I said, I'm already your friend. Well, I went to church and I said, Gloria, I loved it. Can we go back tonight? And then there was an ad in the because I started going to that church and there was a bulletin. In the bulletin, there was a program and it said Bible study. This really nice couple ran the Bible study. So I signed up and I was the only one that showed up. I was the only one. So they just ministered to me. And 3 weeks in, they asked me, would you like to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? And this is what I said, take me, take me. That was my very first yes that changed the projection of my life. It was amazing. So I became, I was so shy in the beginning because see, and I was still having those feelings. So I was like, wouldn't even pray in front of people. But here's what happened. As I grew and grew and grew, I started going to Bible studies. And then I became a leader in those Bible studies. And I just grew and I was just always saying yes. And I'm still always saying yes. So the biggest yes I said 8 years ago to position myself around those powerful people, I said yes to Toastmasters. When I walked into that Toastmasters, they were laughing, they were supporting one another. And I said, oh, it kind of reminds me of my childhood, on my second grade block. And I said, I want to join Toastmasters. So that's what I did. Oh my gosh, it's crazy what happened in there. I went up, would do these speeches, and I didn't think I'd sit down and go, oh my gosh, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. And then they would see, they saw me way different than I saw myself. They'd say, Carol, you're a good storyteller. Carol, you're funny. So that ride was so good, and I'm still a Toastmaster today. But this Toastmaster was a preschool teacher for 14 years, and it was the 12th year that I was introduced to Toastmasters. And now, so I loved preschool. I mean, as you can imagine, I got high energy. I was Miss Carol. I was the popular one in the classroom. I was a great storyteller, and I was a music and movement teacher. It was super, super fun. And I was always going and educating myself to be better, to be a great teacher. But the last few years of my teaching, I felt like I needed to get out of those four walls. And so the 6th year of Toastmasters is when everything happened. I stepped out by faith and I says, I want to have a workshop. And that workshop was called Design Your Life. I got a couple of my friends, Siraj and Richard. They helped me pull it off. I rented a museum in the room, and it was great. When I looked out, see, because everybody that was in 2 feet in front of me, I gave them a flyer. Come to Design Your Life. I got 31 people there. And it was very interactive. And I have to tell you, when I stood up there and I looked out, there was tears in my eyes, because that was my dream. My dream as I was growing and growing in my faith and in myself, that I wanted to help people. I wanted them to be better. I didn't want them to go through what I went through. And that is when I became the empowerment coach. So in that room, oh gosh, where am I at time-wise? In that room, 5 people came to me and said, Carol, I want to coach with you. And boom, my business was birthed, and I have not stopped running since. And it's been quite a ride. See, the first year I was in Toastmasters, I'm going to say a lot about Toastmasters because that is the vehicle that God used to really help me. But I always, every year in church, wanted to go on a mission trip, but I was too afraid. I was afraid to fly. I was afraid to keep up with the mission trip. I was afraid of the unknown. But in 2013, after being in Toastmasters a year, I broke off a lot of fear. And this girl went to Africa, Kenya, on a mission trip. It was so awesome. I still remember we were on that flight, and the steward says we had just landed in Kenya. Tears were rolling down my eyes because I did it. I did what I was afraid to do. And that kept going on and on. I kept just stepping out and doing things I was afraid of. If there's one thing that anybody knows about me, I'm a pusher. I push myself to do all kinds of crazy things. The most crazy thing I did, just actually recently, about 3 years ago, was I stepped out and I was a skydiver. I am an elite skydiver. And the funny thing is, I was the last one in the plane. So you know what that means? Yes, I was the first one out. And I actually invited all the people to come with me because I didn't want to do it alone. So I guess that's kind of appropriate. But I really just love life. I have a zest for life. I love to empower people. And now, as you know, now I've reinvented myself as this empowerment coach. And there's just so many things that I do to help people. I help them become better communicators. I help them just really, like I said in the beginning, I really help them with their personal performance inside, because everything is inside. Everything that you ever want is already inside you, and you don't have to go very far. But I really love, you know, my life. I'm a grandma, and my 2 daughters have wonderful husbands. And my husband and I, we had, as you can imagine, for 46 years, we had some rough times. But we made it. Our latter days are better than our former days. And I can say I am so content right now with right where I'm at and just loving people. But see, the reason I'm a powerful coach is because I know what it feels like to be in lack of myself. I know what it felt like. You know, a lot of times I would be around a table and I wouldn't even open my mouth because I think, oh, am I going to embarrass myself? Are they going to like me? I had all these crazy things going through my head. And so over a period of time, that is when I started really growing. And I just said, say yes to you. And I even became a co-author. I authored a book. If you know who Les Brown is, his daughter had a book project. And so I even became an author. But see, that's what I do. I just step out and do whatever it is. I mean, life is exciting when you challenge yourself. So I'm always, always, always challenging myself. And that is what I love to do. And I'm also a speaker. I speak at many stages and love, love, love for any speaking engagement. So see, I have the ability. God has given me the ability to change the atmosphere in the room. And see, I'm still a little kid inside. I am still a little kid because, I lost so many years because of those insecurities, because of those doubts, because of those unbeliefs in me. And now I'm living life on my terms. I'm stepping out and growing, and I'm helping others do it. It doesn't get better than that. I'm excited, as you can tell. So if you want to look me up, I'm on Carol Feeley Facebook. I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today to share my story.
Thank you so much, Carol, for sharing your story. No, you're great. I really appreciate you sharing your story. And I hear there's the common theme is saying yes. It's like the yes, to in the face of fear, in the face of, whatever's in our way. I can totally relate because I will find a reason to say no because I'm afraid. It's just like it's the survival conversation. And I really admire that you have found the power to say yes, and to challenge yourself. And it's like there's no, without risk, how can we ever have reward?
There you go.
And even when we fall, all it means is we have to get back up. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you've put into practice, and then you're supporting, and I just acknowledge you for supporting others in that pursuit, because we all have fear, and we all have different levels of fear, and we all get paralyzed by the different things we're afraid of. And I think it's really it's a beautiful thing that you have made a practice in your life for yourself to support others in overcoming what's in their way. So just
and you might even say that coaching found me.
Mm-hmm.
I was always just naturally an encourager. With the kids in the classroom, with my friends, I just was they called me cheerleader. They called me Miss Enthusiasm on all my jobs. But it's just you just have to love life. We're only here for a short time. Let's make the best of it. And like I said, I wake up every day and say, who can I impact today? So, and that's why I'm glad to be here, so that I can have more views on who I am, because you know what, I want people to be loud and proud. I've held myself back so long, and I'm 65. I'm not any young chick, but I surely don't look 65, right? I feel good. I'm an avid. I work out every single day, so that's how I empower myself. So I continue to empower myself so I can empower my clients to the best of my ability. And I position myself around people that are going places. That's so important. Who are the 5 people that you hang out with? It is vital to your success. Agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys, in a year, guys, you won't even know me. I'm telling you, it just seems like lately there's been a big shift in me. And I wake up and I'm just so excited, and it's so on fire for just what, is in front of me. And I think that's what really helped me too. I don't look in the rearview mirror anymore. And that's what's happened with a lot of people. They keep looking at their rearview mirror. Well, each day you have to go in with expectancy, expecting the best instead of hanging on to the past. Like I said, my husband and I went through a lot of challenges. But now we have the best relationship, supporting one another. All the home life is wonderful. So that means it's my turn now to go out and share my gift with others. Make sense?
It's a beautiful thing. Go ahead, Matthew.
Come on, Matthew, buddy.
Hi, we meet again.
I know.
I'm sorry, I was having technical issues. I missed most of what you got to say. I only came in at the very end. But just what you're talking about right there, the measure of success. And it sounds like you've actually had a chance to define your own success. Like, what does success mean to you? And I wonder if you'd actually take a minute to talk about what that looks like for you, how you got there, and is it something that you're attached to, or is it something that if that definition changes, you feel comfortable changing with it?
Great question. In 2018, somebody told me, start a morning routine. I started a morning routine. They said it's going to change your life. That was 3 years ago. And I've been consistent ever since. Wake up, with affirmations, prayer, exercise. I'm just really diligent about that. And you get you're 30% more productive by doing a morning routine. When my clients, if my clients were here today, they'd say it's because of their morning routine. They've got really solid in doing that. And see, we're always looking for something outside, like go to this strategy, go to this conference, but it's right here. And if you could so the biggest secret, I believe, is just having a friendship with you. See, because we're in conflict with ourselves. And so when you're in conflict with yourself, and that's what happened with me in my past, you can't move forward. You've got what I call an anchor. It just anchors you down. So it's really about having that friendship with yourself and realizing, what are you telling yourself? What kind of thoughts are you saying to yourself? Are you saying, hey, I'm powerful. I'm intentional. I'm a risk taker. Are you saying those kind of thoughts? Or are you saying, I can't do it? I'll never be anything. What are you telling yourself? That is the key. So that's really what we do in my coaching, is really go through it, brain training. And it's simple. It's easy to do and easy not to do. It's the little daily habits that you do day in and day out that make all the difference. Because here's what happens. When you start a morning routine, your habits are automatic after a while, probably about 6 months. So after they get automatic, that means you don't spend any more energy, because your mind already knows what it's going to do. So that frees you up to have more energy. So it's really kind of scientifically proven, that a morning routine is where it is. How about the millionaire people? What do? They do a morning routine. You won't find any one of them that is not doing a morning routine. So that's my tip for this today. Get and do a morning routine. You'll never regret it.
Yeah. I definitely see for myself that, it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've struggled with morning routine at times where I've been consistent and then I fell off it. And I've noticed very much a difference in my own, not only productivity, but just my own commitments of how I'll teeter, or I'll kind of fall off. So I think that's definitely a powerful thing to be able to implement. In a moment, I want to bring Nada back in when she gets back, where she just stepped away. But I want to ask you, what is it that, in your experience, what has allowed you to empower your clients the most? It sounds like the morning routines, but what is it in your experience has, where you see yourself as someone who's making a difference with them?
Having them find their conflict and being aware of it. And
so
when they are
being aware of the impact of what's been in their way.
Yeah. And just for instance, I had one client, she came to me because she would lack confidence. And so she was doing lives, but she was kind of holding back on herself. So since I'm a Toastmaster, we adjusted some of the ways that she did her live. And then I helped her with the sale because she also wasn't feeling very valued in what she did. So we worked on that, and she did a sales script and she practiced it. And so in 3 weeks, she sold 11 clients. 11 clients in 3 weeks because she worked on her inside. You know, Jim Rohn, I don't know if you know who he is, but he says, work harder on yourself than your job. That is my philosophy. And that's what I've been doing over these last 5 years, really working hard on myself, knowing who I am and knowing who I'm not.
Oh, I love that you put it, knowing who I am and who I'm not. I feel like most of my life I've focused on who I'm not and didn't even realize it. And I think I want to bring Nada back in the conversation here. Well, welcome back, Nada.
Thank you.
So I want to give both of you an opportunity, Carol and Nana, to kind of comment and just talk with each other about, you know, each other's shares. But just on the last thing that Carol said, you know, like working on yourself, not who you're not. And have you had any experience with that, Nana? Because since your experiences, it sounds like you've been very much. I mean, you opened a yoga practice, and it seems that you're helping others you're helping your own healing, but you're also helping others with that. And I would love for you to share about that and share with what you heard with Carol.
Carol, such a pleasure. I loved knowing who you are and who you're not. Isn't that just what my coach said to me? You're thin, you can't go into the full physical contact, play your game.
I love it.
Carol, you look like 25. I'm also 65.
Thank you.
You look fabulous.
You're also 65?
In May, I will be 65, yes.
Congratulations. You look beautiful too.
Same thing. Maybe it's an age, maybe it's a generation. Also, I'm obsessing on just studying, learning, and focusing on simple things, health, morning routines, my hike. If it is not hike, then I do my whole Bikram yoga class in my living room. And that's how I start the day. And it feels like foundation of a healthy foundation of a good home.
Yeah.
You know, the foundation is cracked, not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Steve, since I am the empowerment coach, I feel I have an obligation to keep myself healthy, do my morning routine, exercise every day, so that I can, you know, I want to bring people value. And if I'm not doing it, how can I bring people value? So that's where that's like my daddy. My daddy was from Oklahoma, and, you know, he taught me such values, and that was, you know, his value, just to be a woman of integrity, you know, and say who you are. So
absolutely. In real estate, I still sell real estate 21 years later. It's the same thing. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of my equity?
There you go.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it kind of rolls around in different areas, right?
pretty basic.
Yeah, I think that's. Go ahead, Matthew.
Starts from us.
So right when my laptop died, Nada, you were talking about something, holding on to normal, and I feel like that's actually maybe one of the biggest. Maybe danger isn't the best word, but like maybe the biggest roadblocks that we face as a society, as a culture, is trying to hold on to our own comfort, trying to hold on to what we know is normal, and not embracing change as it happens. And I just wonder if both of you could talk about, because you both experienced significant change in your life, and maybe just share a few things that helped you kind of come to accept how things were changing and move forward in that new paradigm. And just, I think it was going with order my train. So Carol, that would be you first, and then Nada next.
Okay, go ahead, Carol.
Well, I've kind of, you know, I don't think I worry about things like I used to, because we go back to the brain training. You know, what happens is, if I get a thought that comes in to my mind and it doesn't align with who I am, I have to actually say, stop it. Stop it, because it does. That's why it's really important to stay fresh. That's why a lot of people stop and start. They're going to go for a while and then they stop, and they pretty much really have to start all over again. So it's really important to be engaged in your own personal growth, your own mental health. That's why I say I don't say consistent. Consistent is very vague. I say daily. It's a daily process, and that's I think my biggest win that I've had is just doing it daily.
Thank you, Nada. What about you?
Well, I'm thinking by this age, you have gone through all kinds of diversity, but whoever it is at 65. So what I did in the past was something else. But here in Sonoma, I opened a studio and I built the clientele, and it was fabulous. And one day, instead of 47 people showing up in my studio, there's only 4. And next day 5, and next day 2. And I realized the Napa studio opened, and I realized 75%, maybe even 90% people were coming from Napa to my studio. Now I'm on a square one. What am I going to do? So I have a rent to pay. I have my bills to pay, support myself. And my first reaction was, I'm going to tell you exactly how it was. I was crying for 2 weeks. And while I was crying, I'm thinking, okay, this is ridiculous, but it will stop in a few days. And then Nada, when you stop feeling sorry for yourself, you have to figure out what to do. And then I did some kind of programs and promotions and this and that. And I built my studio up and then sold it in 2015 when hundreds of studios were closing all over the world, small studios like mine. I sold it for 3 times more than I bought it. It's all small peanuts, small money. But I was proud of myself, how I dug deep and figured out how to stay in business. It was this close to say, okay, well, I will put the sign close, but there's something, is it Serbian, Jewish, Yugoslavian, competitive basketball player in me? Something was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And I had no money. I swiped the credit card, went into Texas to consult with 2 big-time Bikram yoga studio owners. And they looked over my pricing and my classes, and they gave me suggestions. That's another thing, to be coachable. A lot of people hire coaches and don't do anything that coaches tell them. You, Carol, tell me jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, you will be successful, I will do it. That's how coachable I am. So these people told me, I love it. I love it. I'm like, give it.
I have a coach too.
Tell me, absolutely. Tell me what to do. You're the coach. So, and I followed every single thing. One thing that they said, do not have introductory rate. So it was scary because everybody had introductory rate. It's a long story why, and I trusted them and I kept in business and sold it. So first I cry and I think it's ridiculous, and then I figure out what to do and I survive. That's a pattern. Just don't cry longer than 3 days, 2 weeks.
There you go. Good for you.
I love it. I love it. I think there's you're connecting a lot of dots, but you're just speaking of being coachable. It's one thing that I've discovered for myself, and I've seen the power in being coachable. And I actually I'll just tell you really quick. I had one coach say, like, make your coach, no matter what, make your coach right. And it's like, if it's a sunny day outside and they say it's raining, go on your roof and get the hose and start spraying it so it looks like it's raining outside. Like, it's like there's but I think it's amazing to be able to. It's like it's so easy to see what others are going through and not ourselves, and like that's kind of the power. It's like I can, when somebody else is dealing with problems, whether it's heartbreak or whether it's whatever they're dealing with. It's so easy to say, oh, it's like there's other fish in the sea, you're going to be okay. It's always easy to tell somebody else what to do, but it's so hard to see that for ourselves. Yeah. And like what you were saying earlier, Carol, it's like you have to care for yourself first. And that's something that I've been still figuring out, is like I try to take care of everybody, and I forget about myself, whether my well-being or whether it's my exercise, my career, and like it's something that is so universally true, because it's like if we don't have our own integrity, how can we help somebody else with that? How can we help somebody else with anything?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. People are so focused on like their goals, and it's 80% mindset, 20% mechanics, and a lot of times more than not, they're focused on the wrong goal for themselves because they haven't even had a relationship with themselves.
Yeah. If I can say one more thing regarding what I did with my Bikram Yoga studio, I love to listen to my intuition and my talent and what's coming for me more than anything else, and I trust that feeling. So I started having a fabulous clothes, going to a studio, full makeup and all over my chest, pearl necklaces, and people would say, and teach yoga like this, and people would say, do you have a hot date? I said, you are my hottest date today. And it was my image all over Sonoma that I have them always dressed up like, wow, you look like you just came from a catwalk in Paris. And I said, yes, I did. It's just trusting whatever that's, I don't want to talk about me. It's trusting whatever is coming up. It's the truth, and just follow this and do it. Nobody have ever done it. It's time for you to do it. So I belong to coaching system, Brian Buffini and company. He coaches real estate agents. And I just texted my coach that I won a competition, Carol, yesterday, and going to district. And I said I would like him to consider me on a mastermind summit next year, which he hires really big coaches, big speakers, to hear my 7.5-minute story. A coach says it hasn't happened so far for 21 years. I said, well, it's time to happen now. So I think it's powerful that one of his clients come on the stage and shares the challenging story for everybody else to listen.
Like what you're saying about trusting, what comes up in intuition. That's one thing I admire about Matthew. He is so following his intuition. I'll like ask him, hey Matthew, you want to do this today? And he's like, no. Just like he'll just try, and it's like, okay, well.
Another thing my dad used to say, Nada, when you see everybody going this direction, don't even ask them where they're going. Just turn around, go the other way.
There we go. It's funny to me how both approaches work. Like both being extremely coachable and extremely intuitive. I have been both at various points in my life, and right now I am much more of the I go my own way. Like I've gotten to a place now where I'm not looking for a coach anymore. I am my own coach. And so I guess in a way I'm coaching myself, and that's kind of a really fun experience, and that's been very enlightening and enjoyable, like falling into the flow. But then at other times I have been in that position where like I didn't know myself well enough. I had no earthly idea what I wanted. I had no earthly idea who I was. I had no relationship with myself. And so I was looking for that coach, and like putting myself in that position of being extremely coachable was what kind of pushed me to where I am today. And so, like, if to anyone out there listening, like, it may seem like there's two sides of an argument happening here, but really there's not. Like, it's whatever path feels more appropriate for you in the moment. Go for it. Like, I don't know. I haven't tried to put this into words in a long time, so please bear with me for a second. There are no wrong answers as far as I can tell.
Mm.
And it's just a matter of sometimes, at least, sometimes it's just a matter of like that shotgun approach, just trying as many different things as possible until you find what resonates for you.
Yeah.
But see,
So what's to your point?
That's where you need to get clear so you don't have to do that.
Exactly.
You know,
And that's where,
to that point.
Yeah. Well, think about Oprah. Oprah, she has 4 coaches. And look at where she is. You know, Michael Jordan. Everyone needs a coach, I think.
Well, I think, but to that point, that's kind of connecting those dots on what Matthew was saying. I think it's kind of like in the yogis or like, in gurus, in India, like they say, like when you're ready to learn the lesson, the teacher will come. It's like, I think it's that. It's never universal. It's circumstantial of an alignment of just when you're ready to learn the lesson, a teacher will show up. And it's
Are you when you're ready to want more? See, maybe people are not wanting more. But if you really want more, like I did, I've had a lot of coaches, and so I wanted more.
Right, and I think it's the way we live. It's the clearing we are. It's if we are clearing for having a bad day, and like if I wake up saying today's gonna be a bad day, we're gonna see all the things that make today bad. But if we are clearing for growth and opportunity and for contribution and love, we're gonna see opportunities to do that and be that. And so if we're seeking growth and we're seeking to learn lessons, we can learn to humble ourselves. And it's like, oh, this is a person that fell into place, and maybe they can coach me because I don't know what to do. And so it's like it's never it's a balance between humility and and self, sufficiency, like intuition. It's like there's never a one answer, but the answer will come when we're ready to learn it. And until then, we're going to keep falling down until we learn it or lack thereof.
I agree.
So it's been such a pleasure and honor to have both of you, and I'm really just so. It's been a really amazing conversation. And Nada, thank you so much again for sharing. And Carol, thank you for sharing your story. I would love to have you both come back again soon and share some more. I'm sure you have a lot more to share, and I can gather there's so much more to unfold than what we shared about. But just thank you again so much just to be here and to share vulnerably and authentically. This is exactly why we have this space, is for people like you who are just committed to contributing to something greater than yourself. And it's just in who you've discovered yourself to be through all that you've been through, and still you're here sharing that gift. And it's like it inspires me, and thank you so much. It means so much to us. So I want to, before we close, I just want to give very, very quickly, I just want to give you both like a last moment to say any last words you'd like to share with our audience and with us, or with Carol or Nada. But please take the stage.
The best is yet to come.
Say yes to you.
The best is yet to come, and say yes to you. Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much again. Please do stay in touch, and we're gonna definitely have some more conversations in the future. But thank you again, and also to everybody at home tuning in with us. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your ears and for listening and for being a part of this experience with us. And again, I want to invite you to share your story on this virtual stage. This is why we have this space, is for you to share your experiences, what you've transformed in your life that has allowed you to share your gift with the world. And this is a space for you to share your gift, because you are a gift. Whether you recognize and see it or not, you are a gift, and you have so much to share with us all. And that's why we hold this space. And that's our vision here, is humanity rising in a connected world, with each person's unique gifts, genius, and contributions being valued and magnified through a higher level of collaboration, producing unprecedented new realms of possibility. Thank you all again. Thank you, Nada and Carol. And thank you all at home for tuning in. We will see you next week. I love you all. Be safe, be well. And as always, one day is today. Take care, everybody.